Hello and welcome back to the Soft Life as LifeCode. This is Monica Wisdom of the Monica Wisdom podcast. And this is where we give ourselves permission to pause, exhale, and remember who we were before the world told us who we had to be. And let's say this episode is going to be a good one. I hope you listened to episode 1 where we talked about trauma. This episode is Feeling is a Superpower. We're going to talk about vulnerability. When I say superpower, I mean that deeply, not just some cute phrase or soundbite, but the truth of what we've been forced to forget. Growing up as Black girls, so many of us have been taught to stuff it down, be polite, don't cry, be humble, and don't make them uncomfortable. And that stems from the times of our parents where they couldn't look people in the eye. And I get it was for safety reasons. But we became experts in masking our emotions, shaping ourselves to whatever moment that we were in, and rarely thinking about what we really needed. So today I want to talk about reclaiming the parts of ourselves that we were taught to keep in silence. Like I said, be humble, don't be loud, don't be ghetto, all the things that we've been told that we are and that our behaviors are demonized, essentially. And I want to talk about what happens when we stop pushing past our emotions and start listening to those sacred messages inside. So simply, we have to unlearn our silence and to be loud and expressive in powerful ways, which we are. People say that when we yell or we're angry that we're just being too sensitive and that we need to just, contain ourselves. But you're absorbing more than anybody could ever see because we're magic. We just don't absorb what people say to us. We absorb our whole environment. And you've handled it the best way you know how, by being strong. But strength is not the same thing as wholeness. Holding everything together doesn't mean that you're okay. Somewhere between surviving the system, surviving our families, we began to treat our emotions like a liability. We numb everything with productivity. I'm too busy for this, I'm too busy for that. We become workaholics, essentially, and doing all the things. We numbed with, not feeling what we need to feel at the time. That deep sigh that we take before we respond, or we just laugh off the pain. Everything is funny. They say Black people find everything, we're so unserious. But a lot of that is a trauma response. And a lot of people take that numbness for we're at peace, we're happy, we're joyful, but it's true we say we laugh to keep from crying. But here's the thing, emotions are our data. And when we ignore them, we lose the roadmap back to ourselves. They are the signal in the direction of what we need to go into. It's like when we talked about trauma in the last episode. Our triggers tell us the core of what's going on with us. And oftentimes we're not taught that the triggers are actually our roadmap to our traumas, right? If we get upset about something, typically if you go back into that trigger and where it comes from and find the origin of it, that's something I teach in the Reframe Your Narrative workshop that I have online available. Oftentimes when we go down that path and that journey, we find the core of where it comes from, and then we can heal from the core. Now, there's a cost to not feeling. There's a quiet kind of suffering in Black womanhood that rarely gets a language. It's not loud. It's exhaustion that shows up in our very bones. It's that, like I said, it's that sigh before you walk into work or before you leave the house, or that silent prayer that you say before you get in your car because you just want to make it home safely. And it's that smile we give when our heart is actually breaking. And we say, it's okay. It's going to be okay. God got me. God does have you. But there's also some other things going on. And here's the other piece of it, that other people don't seem to have the way that we do. We carry the emotional labor of our entire communities. And we've been doing it all without really taking care of ourselves. We bypass our own emotions to make sure that other people are okay. And what does that cost? It costs rest, joy, emotional freedom. When we suppress our anger, we silence our truth. When we suppress our grief, we diminish the depth of our love. And we don't have to do anything, but we tie it all up in perfection. And you don't get to be a full human being. You don't even get to see your full humanity because you're in this container that society has said that we are. You're in this container that your family expects you to be. And on the inside, we're crying. And there's a silent rage that's within us. And we want to just be nurtured and have an opportunity to be tender and to say how we feel and still be powerful. We want to be able to have a full range of emotions and not be seen as weak or less than. You know, emotional brilliance is what we have. We do have a range of emotions, but they're not the full range of emotions that we could be expressed. I've worked with many women, and I've seen this over and over again. The moment we give ourselves permission to feel without judgment, without trying to fix it, we release emotions in a way that is liberating. And that's when we shift. I learned that, like I said, therapy didn't work for me. But when I started going to women's retreats, that's when I was able to be fully in the space of my emotion to see what was really going on with me. I was in a space where I felt safe and nurtured, and so I could fully express myself without any judgment or anybody trying to fix me. I was just allowed to feel. Here's the thing. When we get an opportunity to think back to the time where we could just be in our imagination and inside of our dream world, where we could be, just free little girls, we felt more of ourselves than we do now, right? We got to color outside of the lines, and we got to envision what life would be when people said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it was like all the things, all the things. But now it's like you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, that, and the other. And you have this obligation inside of this container called being a Black woman. But here's the beauty. That little girl is still inside of you. And she's just waiting for you to tap in and say hello and play and explore, all of those little things that we did as a girl, to color, to play with dolls, to do all of those fun things. I always love to watch the young people when they do the cosplaying for the different characters that they create. They get to play in makeup and clothes and all the things, and they get to imagine being someone else. But here's the thing. We get to imagine to be more of ourselves, right? Our full, complete selves and our full bloom of humanity. And we live in a society that for a long time, and some people still don't see us as human beings. And that idea and that programming seeps inside of us. And our job, our role, is not to fix it, but to unravel it. Because you can't fix something like that. That is unfixable. To not look in the mirror and see your full humanity, or to be put in this container That's not fixable. You have to get to the core of it, unravel it, let it go, and then fill those spaces with love. That's where the softness begins. This is not about a self-care checklist or not honoring yourself. This is about realizing that you have a full range of emotions. It's not just anger. It's not just stoic. It's not just being humble, but you want to be tender. You want to be soft. You want to be feminine. You want to be alluring and sexy. All of those emotions. You want to be able to cry without people asking you what's wrong. You just want people to hold you and let you express your emotion or whatever it is. And you have to remember, and I talk about this often in this podcast and off the podcast and when I'm coaching people, that we were born with everything we need to make life happen. Everything. Even the Bible says we were divinely fashioned in our mother's womb, and He knew us before we were born. That means we had everything, and something happened. We forgot about that little girl that's inside of us. The little girl that is nothing but joy and love. And, we don't have to do anything but tune in to her voice. I remember a friend of mine asked me what was going on with me and why I hadn't been around. Because I'm the type of person, when I'm going through things, I just, I go into my cave and I try and work my life out and do all the things. And I know people say, you have to ask for help, but everybody's going through their thing. And I know the people that I can talk to. It's not that I'm not talking to anybody. I just know who I feel safe around and have these conversations with. I call them my tribe, my soul tribe. And here's the thing. It's not about fixing. It's about tuning in. It's not about changing yourself. It's about evolving. It's not about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more of yourself. That self that is without the titles, without the socioeconomic status, without the degrees. That simple divine being that sits inside of you, and no matter where you are, she's there. No matter what's going on in your life, she's there, and you have to tap into her. And I call it the little girl inside of us, or you can call it that divine space within us, or that connection to God. Whatever you choose to call it, know that it is always there. And you have to have a place where you can simply be yourself. You want to let joy take up space. You want to let your heart rest in a place that is safe and where you can be fully present with yourself. This isn't about being emotional. Like I said, this is about being tuned into your own voice. Oh, that's what I was saying. I lost my train of thought that quickly. But a friend asked me what was I doing? And I said, I'm going through a self-discovery journey. She said, what is that? I said, I'm trying to find my own voice. I want to hear myself. When I talk and when I live, I hear the voice of my mom. I hear the voice of my dad. I hear the voice of society. I hear the voice of my 5th grade teacher who was horrible to me. I hear all of these other voices, but I can't hear myself. So when I talk about that little girl inside of you, that's what I'm talking about. You have to find a way to clear the clutter so that you can hear that soft, sweet voice inside of you. And then as you strengthen that part of yourself, then everything else begins to unravel. When you feel the anger, you know that something is off. When you feel sadness, it's because you really cared about someone or something. And when you feel joy, your body's saying, I need more of this. Your emotions are a compass to what you need and what you need to let go of. So when we pay attention to our emotions, these are not interruptions. They are simply instructions. When we listen to our emotions, we become more aligned with ourselves. Feelings lead to clarity. Clarity leads to softness. And softness, sis, that leads to peace. So here's what I want you to carry with you. When you're feeling scared, don't feel ashamed of it. Your emotions are with you. They're necessary, and they guide you to your place of peace. So I want you to take out your journal. Hopefully you got the Soft Life Blueprint journal. And I want you to explore a feeling, just one. Don't analyze it. Don't try and fix it. Just honor it. If you're in a place of anger or rage, I want you to just get out a notebook, and I just want you to write out everything you feel. Like, get it out of your body. That's the one thing my mom taught me. She said she wanted me to write so I could just get it out of my body so it doesn't stay with me. And she knew this. This is in the 80s when she told me this. It sounded real woo-woo back then, but it makes sense now. You don't want to feel any shame about how you feel. If you're pissed off at your kid, it's okay. If you're pissed off at your partner, it's okay. If you're pissed off at society, it's okay. You just don't want to stay there. And what happens is that we don't feel it fully. We tune it out. We numb it. We start scrolling through Instagram and all the things to numb it. We go get a snack. We do everything but feel. And here's the thing. You have to feel it. Because when you feel it, is when you can experience it fully, and then this too shall pass. Flying over it, it's still there. And what happens when it's still there is still there years from now. And that same incident, that same emotion now becomes a trigger. So you pop off at someone else, but what they did was trigger that emotion that is deep inside of you. So I invite you, like I said, to, if you have a feeling, you don't have to express it to the person or the situation. Ask yourself, what is this really about? Ask yourself, why am I feeling this? And pull out your journal and start writing. I call it sacred writing. Just blindly write. Don't correct yourself. Don't correct your grammar. Don't correct your spelling. Just write. And you will find the core of what triggered you. And you will find out why you were feeling this emotion. This is a step-by-step process. And you have to understand that your feelings connect to your trauma, but you're allowed to feel your feelings. You're allowed to express your emotions, as long as it's not hurting somebody else. Let me say that. You're allowed to express your emotions. You're allowed to have your emotions. You don't have to be that pristine, perfect person all the time. You don't have to be humble. You don't have to silence yourself. You can be the complete woman that you are, love all of her, and still be a powerful, strong person, and still be there for others and in a better way, because then you're not building up resentment. So I hope that this episode has given you just some bits of enlightenment of the power of your emotions and how they are your compass, and they are going to lead you to your healing. They're going to lead you to deal with your triggers, and they're going to allow you to be a full, complete being, because your emotions are a part of you and they're nothing to be ashamed of. Thank you so much for listening to this episode 2 of our new series, The Soft Life is LifeCode. And this is Monica Wisdom of the Monica Wisdom Podcast. Please check out our website at monicawisdomhq.com. And don't forget to go to the show notes. And in the show notes are links for the Soft Life Morning audios, as well as the Soft Life Blueprint Journal, and Any research that I've done, I'm citing the people that I read and researched. So their information will be in the show notes as well. So if you want to read their books or learn more about them, you can also do your own research and go deeper into this conversation of feelings are a superpower. Have an amazing day, and I will talk to you soon.